Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. I wanted to jump right in today and do a little quiz. We're going to start with answering some questions to figure out if you have limbic system imbalances. So we're going to go over some common symptoms and a checklist and figuring out where we maybe stand on this limbic system, nervous system regulation checklist. Number 1, do you often feel anxious or stressed, but you don't have a clear cause? Like you kind of can't turn that alarm system off in your head? Do you have constant fatigue, even if you get a good night's sleep? Are you highly sensitive to certain foods or chemicals or environmental factors that other people don't seem to be bothered by? Maybe the smell at the gas station or the air fresheners when you walk into a restaurant or a hotel? Do you have chronic pain conditions that don't have a clear cause, like fibromyalgia or migraines? Do you have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep? Do you have unexplained mood swings or irritability or depression? Do you have trouble with your memory or your cognition or brain fog? And do you have digestive issues like IBS or bloating or nausea that don't have an explainable medical cause? Pretty much, have you had a lot of mystery symptoms that Western medicine hasn't been able to put a label on? Or have you been diagnosed with multiple chronic conditions that don't seem to have much explanation or treatment options, like chronic Lyme, POTS, MCAS, EDS, without clear relief from treatments that you've tried? Or have you had a lot of different potential symptoms or diagnoses and not really been able to get to root cause despite trying? And do you have a history of trauma? Now, trauma can be emotional, physical, or environmental that might be affecting your health. Do you get overwhelmed easily? Your nervous system feels like it's just like a frayed wire? And do you find yourself withdrawing from social activities due to these symptoms? If you answered mostly yes to these questions, you are likely experiencing some sort of nervous system or limbic system imbalance or dysregulation. And this could be making chronic symptoms or pain worse. So this would be your sign to explore some limbic system retraining techniques. If you answered no, your limbic system could still be related, but some of your other issues might be linked to other health issues, and that's something that always we are consulting our doctors with. Limbic system healing is not a replacement for real medical doctors' opinions or diagnosis or testing, and so always this information is here to help us come up with a more comprehensive action plan to heal and regulate our nervous system, to rewire our brain and create a better path where we open up more doors for healing to occur. If you answered a lot of yes, my heart really goes out to you. I know how hard that is to deal with these mystery symptoms. I myself battled Lyme and mold illness and POTS and chronic pain and unexplained immune system issues for almost 25 years before I got any sort of real diagnosis. Even after I got a diagnosis, the treatment options I tried were not working. And this was such a long and difficult journey, and it gave me a deep understanding of the chronic illness and chronic pain community. I tried everything. I did detoxes and teas and diets and entire medicine cabinets full of supplements and different medications and different new age things and all of these fads, and nothing was really working. In fact, I felt like I was getting sicker and sicker until I discovered this limbic system root cause connection for a lot of my symptoms and diagnoses. As a mental health therapist, I actually have made it my niche to specialize in helping people with chronic pain and chronic illness. I was pulling from acceptance and commitment therapy, polyvagal theory, cognitive behavior therapy for behavior change, positive psychology to work on pain issues. And it finally dawned on me that all of the mental health work I was doing in my job was deeply connected to physical health issues. But Western medicine has this thing where they seem to disconnect the mind, body, and spirit. Spirit kind of doesn't exist to them. They take all of your mind issues and throw you to psychiatry, and your body gets divvied up to different medical specialists. You're given a million different diagnoses, but no one tries to connect the dots. I was introduced to brain retraining and limbic system healing through a few different programs, but I realized that a lot of them were lacking a holistic approach. I have always been really into holistic healing. I love nature and hiking. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm an herbalist. And I wanted to incorporate all of these modalities into one program while still keeping the evidence-based science parts of true brain retraining and nervous system healing work. So, to get to the bottom of what is going on and how the limbic system is related to these chronic health issues, we have to understand trauma. Trauma doesn't always have to mean what maybe we have conditioned ourselves to believe it means. Trauma can come from a lot of sources: environmental factors and toxins, childhood experiences, illness, infections, emotional issues, gaslighting, physical trauma from accidents, and so much more. At the end of the day, all of these trauma factors dysregulate our immune system. They throw us into fight or flight mode. And when we have continual ongoing trauma that locks us into fight or flight mode, and then we have physical illness or pain symptoms that keep us locked in fight or flight mode, we never really get a break. We always have something triggering that fight or flight response and keeping us locked into this always kind of nervous energy state. And this blocks our ability to feel safe enough to heal. And this is where some of the science comes in, like the cell danger response. When our body perceives threat, our cells activate a defense mechanism that can get stuck in this on or alerted position, and it leads to chronic inflammation and then health issues. This is where the limbic system comes in. The limbic system includes the amygdala and the hippocampus, and these play a really crucial role in regulating our emotions, our stress response, and our overall sense of safety. When the limbic system is in overdrive, fight or flight mode, it can trigger this constant state of adrenaline dumping and cortisol, stress hormones building up, and this alarm system that never seems to turn off. And it makes it really difficult for our bodies to heal. And this is why the limbic system is so crucial to finding finally a root cause and an ability to understand how everything's interconnected. So rewinding a little bit, I want to talk about the cell danger response a little more. Our cells have this defense mechanism almost, and when our bodies perceive threats, this response has almost like an alarm system, even down to a cellular level. It's not just that our brain recognizes this, our cells have these chemical triggers that recognize and signal when we are in a stress state. And this leads to chronic inflammation and can lead to a lot of health issues. When we calm our limbic system and our thought process, this signals safety and it changes the neurotransmitters and the chemicals that our body is releasing so that our cells are no longer locked into this cell danger state. We signal our cells that it is safe to shift out of defensive mode, and it opens up the pathway to healing. This relates to our HPA axis, this hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And with chronic stress, this whole system in our brain is dysregulated. This can lead to symptoms that you might have heard of, like adrenal fatigue or hormone imbalances. And we bring in the amygdala and hippocampus. So the amygdala is processing our emotions and noticing when there's danger, and the hippocampus forms our memory and stress response regulation. So all of these parts of our brain are constantly communicating to each other. And when we've been sick or in pain or in a trauma, stuck fight or flight mode for a long time, we get stuck in negative brain patterns that are just perpetuating illness and inflammation and a chronic state of fear. So when we look at symptoms of different chronic conditions that are often neglected or dismissed by the medical community, we see how this can relate. So for example, Lyme disease or mold illness. Chronic infections and toxic exposures keep our limbic system in a state of alarm and make symptoms worse. So when we learn how to regulate and shift our nervous system state, we see an improvement often in some of the symptoms. Now we remember this isn't a magical cure. Doing brain retraining and limbic system, nervous system work doesn't magically get rid of all of our symptoms and heal all of our diagnoses. But it does shift the entire playing field. It puts us in a state where we are receptive to healing, where our cells are actually turning off that alarm system, our inflammation is lowering, so we can be open to healing as it comes into us, whether that's through medication or detox or any of the other things that we might want to try. We look at things like POTS, which is becoming more and more of a common diagnosis, especially for young people. And this condition involves the dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system. Limbic system retraining drastically changes this autonomic balance. Chronic pain, our pain perception is influenced by the limbic system. Emotional trauma leaves lasting imprints on that amygdala and hippocampus, which in turn keeps us in a state of hypervigilance and signals our bodies to pump out stress hormones that lead to inflammation. When we understand how all of these things tie back to the limbic system, it helps us to understand how this work is so powerful. And it's something you can do by yourself with the help of videos like this or my paid program, wherever you decide to land. Doing this work, doing the mindfulness and the visualizations and the retraining is going to open up more pathways for you to feel like you actually have a new opportunity to heal, and you can approach your healing from a different mindset. We use things like mindfulness. Mindful practices are going to bring our awareness to thoughts and emotions. We can create a felt sense of safety and presence. We're going to use brain retraining to shift our negative thought patterns and promote new positive neural pathways to form. We also are going to look a little bit into polyvagal theory. I have some videos on here about polyvagal theory and in my course. Polyvagal theory is giving us a framework for understanding how the vagus nerve, which innervates from our brain down to our gut, our second brain in our gut, our nervous system, our enteric nervous system in our gut, this influences our stress response. And there's a lot of different exercises and practices we can do to stimulate that vagus nerve, which we cover with deep breathing and meditation, social connection, humming, singing, all of these things that are going to promote parasympathetic activation, rest and digest mode, and pull us away from that fight or flight activation, sympathetic activation mode. We talk a lot about nature-based therapies too. I am a huge believer that time in nature is going to leverage our healing power. We are so disconnected as a society from nature, and I think that this is what has led to such an influx of chronic health conditions and inflammation. In my course, I talk a lot about the power of grounding and the microbiome of the soil impacting our mental health, the phytonicides that the trees release to change our mental state and our physical state. This is all things that we need to integrate in order to get back to a sense of felt safety and embodiment in the world around us. No wonder why we don't feel safe when we're stuck in a constant cycle of doom scrolling and too much news and too much input that we weren't naturally created for. We're really only created to live in this environment of villages with, 50 to 100 people and time in nature and growing our food and having our feet in the ground. So what can we do to mimic that? I'm not saying we're going to throw away all of our phones and computers and live on a commune somewhere, but how do we go back to what our body is craving, that connection with nature and our local community, and block out some of the louder, traumatizing, scary voices that we're hearing every day in our regular lives? Really what we're looking to do is unlock deeper healing by addressing these root causes. Once our limbic system is regulated, we can do a deeper dive into detoxing. We can actually reduce some of the burdens of these toxins once our cells are out of cell danger response, because we're now open. Our bodies actually have the capability and the energy to do the detoxing we couldn't do before. A calmer limbic system might increase our tolerance to new treatments or interventions that our medical team might have for us. I know people who really struggled with introducing different foods with MCAS, and when they calmed their limbic system, they were able to do food introductions much more safely with less side effects, obviously under medical supervision. But their allergists and immunologists were kind of shocked at, how is this something that's working now? This has never worked before. And it was because their limbic system was calmer. With this new improved mood and energy, we might be able to try some new positive behavior changes. We learn about emotional regulation to enhance our relationships, and polyvagal theory, the idea that we need safe community and people around us to help our limbic system feel safe and engaged. We have better self-image, we improve our energy, our resilience, reduce our inflammation, and so we might have a greater pain tolerance. Again, we're not eradicating disease, we're not curing the pain. We might still have some of these struggles that we have to live with and manage. But when our limbic system and our nervous system are regulated and our brain is rewired to think about things in a new way, and we are changing those thoughts and that experience to a more positive one, we are able to live a life in alignment with our values. We are able to choose better goals for ourselves, surround ourselves with more positive experiences, and just feel better. So if you're interested in learning more about this, you can always check out any of my other videos on this channel to get more in-depth ideas about our meditations and mindfulness. I also have been promoting that I have a paid course. It is important to me that you know that you can get so much more depth of this information and learn how to harness the power of your brain and body to create these profound changes in your health. And my course has so many hours worth of this information. And we really do a deeper dive into the science and applying those techniques. So my program is going to focus on regulating the limbic system using specific techniques to calm and reset, retraining our thoughts and beliefs. So we're going to use cognitive strategies and behavioral strategies to reshape negative thought patterns and promote safety. We really look at this mind-body-nature connection, environmental and lifestyle adjustments, and people have seen great changes with this. So I want you to take some time today to explore this. If you click the link down below in the description, you can sign up for a free trial of my course and you'll get to see a few of the modules. You'll get a free copy of my healing journal that accompanies my course. There's also a discount link down below, Limbic 25. If you enter that and you're interested in buying the course, you will get 25% off. And so please, feel free to click through, look at some of my other content on here, subscribe so you don't miss any new videos that I put out. I do at least once a week. I do videos on healing meditation scripts and understanding the science of brain retraining, and the full course and community, you're going to get much deeper dives into those things as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today, and I hope that this cleared up some of the common questions I'm getting on just the basics of limbic system healing, what it's all about, how it all ties together for a complex picture of healing a lot of issues we're dealing with, and what my course looks like. That's a really common question I've been getting in the comments, is understanding here's what my YouTube videos are about and what does my course look like. So thank you guys so much for always being here to support me. I love the community that we're building here. Please subscribe, comment, any questions you have. I am so happy to always answer them. I hope you have an amazing day full of healing and love.